Hi everyone, my name is Kelly. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to trim your own hair. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that it helped you in somewhat way. And if it did, I'm very happy for you. One thing I want to let you know is that a cut is just a cut. You need to style it as well. A lot of videos that you see my hair looking really nice is because I style it with the hot rollers. A lot of time if your hair is straight or frizzy, you can have a nice cut, but it doesn't look nice and shiny because it's not styled. Now, the best way I have found for myself to style my hair that saved me a lot of time, no damage, is using the hot rollers. And the hot rollers define every single layers that I have cut in my hair. So that's why you see the layers. A lot of time you may have layers in your hair, it's just that because you don't style them, that's why you don't see them. So those of you who send me photos and say, Kelly, can you cut my hair like this? I have to honestly say their haircut is exactly pretty much 99% the same as the cuts that I have shown you in my previous videos. The only difference is that she styles them with a bit of a wave so that you see those layers more defined. That's the only difference. So if you really want to have your haircuts like the photos that you sent me, I would suggest after trying out my haircut tutorial, style your hair either with curling iron or with the hot rollers. Then you will see all the layers comes out. So that is something that I would like to share with you. So today is not too much of a big trim. Again, I am just going through the hair roughly. Basically, I'm just explaining these different haircuts as I go along. You won't see me cutting much of my hair, but it's just to guide you on what you would do if you were to cut your hair. So let's say this is my hair. I've cut it with layers. If I wash and dried my hair and not style it, it will look frizzy. It will look very straggly, very flat. The reason why you're seeing these definitions of layers in my hair is because I style it with the hot rollers. So what happened is that when you blow dry your hair with a round brush, you don't have it last as long, or it may last long, but you have to sit there for like 20 minutes, an hour to blow dry. It is because a lot of time when the blow dry doesn't hold for you is because it's not left to cool down. So say you're blow drying your hair and then once you dry it, then you just take it out. So the hair has not got a chance to cool down so that it sets. That's why you may blow dry your hair and after about half an hour walking outside it goes flat again. Whereas the hot rollers, it's warm, you set it in your hair and then you let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. So that it has a chance to cool down. So that's how the style stays. This is my hair a day old. I styled this yesterday and you can still see the definitions of my layer is because the rollers helps my hair to set and it's shaped. So therefore it shows all the layers that I've cut in it. It holds my style and it just saves so much time because I don't have to sit there for half an hour. All I have to do is roll it within like 1 minute, let it sit, do my makeup, eat my breakfast and change my clothes, and by the time I'm done, I take them out and then I just go to work. So please consider hot rollers. You can find them online or you can message me. My salon sells them. The owners got these really good high quality salon quality rollers, so you can purchase from the salon that I work for. But I try to get people to understand that you don't have to spend half an hour blow drying your hair to have nice hair. There's other alternative. It's just that you've never been taught that there's other ways than just one way, right? So enough said. So with this cut, I'm just gonna go through it roughly, I'm just cleaning up my ends today, so you won't see too much cutting off. So again, what I'm using is my comb. I like to have a wide tooth and a tight tooth in one, just so that it's more flexible for me. And again, a good pair of scissors. Make sure they're sharp. The reason why is that think of your hair as a tomato. When you cut tomato with a chef sharp knife, it cuts beautifully. But if you cut it with a butter knife, it mushes the tomato and it doesn't look nice, and it's not good either. So think of it the same as your hair. You don't want a scissor that mushes as it cut. You want it to cut nice and clean, so that's how you prevent it from getting split ends. So so this is my hair right now, okay? Again, I styled it with the hot rollers. So what I do is I part the hair in half, okay? So some of you may ask, this is easy for me because it's already been cut. You can definitely follow these steps of instructions if you have one length hair. So whether you have hair that's already been cut by a hairstylist and you're just trying to trim it so that it's healthy every month, or your hair is just one length and you want this cut that I have, you can definitely follow the same steps and you will get the same results. Again, if you're cutting new or you're a beginner to cutting, just cut a little at a time, and I mean like a 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, and then an inch. Like, don't go right at it and chop all your hair off, because you can cut more, but if you cut too much, it's gonna take you a long time to grow that back. So you part the hair in half, okay? So when I explain this, it's just gonna be for hair that's one length, okay? So after you part it in half, you are going to determine the length that you want your hair to be. So let's say your hair is down to your waist, down to your bum, or maybe where your bra is, or even up to where your collarbone is. It doesn't matter what length it is. Okay, part it in the middle. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold, so don't mind my sniffing. So let's say my length is right here, okay? And your length may be up here or down here, it doesn't matter, but just take my instructions as a guideline only. So after you determine the length that you want, okay, you're gonna comb the hair straight down. So don't lift the hair out like this, but straight down so it lies right flat to your body. So let's say your hair is down to your waist and you want it to go up to here, then find where you want it to end and do an inch below that, because you can always cut more. Don't cut too much and it's too short, because when hair is one length, it looks longer, but once you add layer into it, it will look or feel shorter. So whatever length that you want, just cut an inch or 2 inches below that. So in my case, I just wanted a trim. So I'm gonna go in and point cut. The reason why I'm point cutting is that I like to have a bit of movement at the bottom. I don't want it to be heavy, because if the bottom is heavy, it will make the top look flat. So you want the bottom to have a bit of movement. If you want a lot of movement, then you cut deeper into the point cutting. So meaning you will hold the hair further and you will point cut deeper. So that will give you a lot more movement. If you like to have fullness at the bottom, but not have it like a blunt cut, then you can hold it closer and just cut the tips. So don't go too deep into the point cutting if you don't want too much movement. So an example for you is that, let's say you have fine hair. You want to have movement at the bottom, but you don't want to have layers because it'll look thinner. This is a great way for you to solve this problem. So what you do, like I said, you determine where the length you want, okay? Go up about 2 inches above it, and then you cut it, point cut it in, okay? So you will cut the length that you want, but leave about 2 inches. After you cut that, then you're gonna go in and deep point cut it. Then you will have the length, and then you will have the movement, which is supposedly called layers, at the bottom. So those are great for those who want to have more fuller, no layers around their hair, but just movement at the bottom. So that's another way to create layers. So after I trim, I'm gonna make sure that this is even. So after I make sure the ends are even and nice and clean, I'm going to use my comb and comb the back forward. So what I'm doing is I'm over directing the back to the front to add layers in the front. Those of you who can style your hair or round brush your hair, then you can have layers all the way throughout the hair, short layers. But if you're not good with styling the back, try to keep the back not too short, because then you're gonna have a hard time blow drying it. So you can add layers at the back by over directing, combing the back to the front. Okay, so in my case, I have layered my front, but if you don't have your hair layered like mine and is one length, you determine where you want the shortest layer to be. So let's say you want it to be your chin, your nose, okay? You will stop the comb right there. So for example, I want it by the chin. See? I'm going to point cut it down on an angle. So since I have mine layered already, but if you did not have yours layered yet and it's one length, you can do the same technique and just angle it down again. Cut less so that you can cut more than to cut too much. Slide the comb down as you're cutting the angle. If you want more of a V at the back, then angle the comb on an angle like this and cut these off, so then it'll be a V at the back. Make sure you don't cut the bottom because you already cut the length already. You don't need to cut anymore, okay? So if hair were supposed to fall off of the back, just let it fall. Don't worry about it. So with the layer at the front, as you can see, I am angling it out of my head. I'm not having it here. The reason why that I do angle it out is so that I can have a bit of beveling on the layer in the front, so that there are layers. If I were to hold it like this and layer that, I can do that too, but then it'll be thicker at the ends. Okay, if you hold it out on an angle like this, on an angle, then when you cut it, you have more of a bevel ends. So as the hair fall out, don't worry about it, okay? So that's one side. I'm going to do this side. Again, over direct by combing the hair from the back to the front. Use the comb to hold onto the hair. See how I'm angling it out? So it have a bit of a bevel on the ends. So if your hair is one length, again, find where you want it to stop, which is right there at the chin, and just point cut softly. Point cut, moving the comb forward. So you're just shaping it. So once you have that, then you can go back in and do more if you need to. Since I want mine to be more of an oval, I'm bringing the comb forward. Okay, and then just trim whatever is necessary. Again, less is more. cut little at a time. So when you cut your hair, make sure you dry it and style it before you cut it. The reason why is that if you cut it on wet hair, I feel it's like you're driving in the rain or the fog and you can't see where you're driving. So same thing when you're cutting your hair wet. In certain cases, you need to cut your hair wet, which is fine, and to each his own. But in my case, and I'm showing you my technique, I like to cut it on dry hair so that you can see exactly how the hair will react or fall after it's cut right away. And a lot of time when it's wet, you tend to cut too much. Okay, so after I trim the front and I'm happy with it, I'm going to create layers. So from here, I'm going to part. If you have thicker hair, then take smaller sections. Since my hair is not a lot, it doesn't seem like it's a little because it's styled and it looks good. But if I didn't style it, it looks very thin, so very misleading after you style your hair. So if you have thicker hair, take smaller sections. If you have hair like mine, then you can go a little more. But again, if you're just learning to cut hair or just trying it for the first few times, do smaller sections, okay? So once you section, you're gonna comb. Use a comb as your guide. Hold the hair with your 2 fingers. So see how the comb is holding the hair for me? I'm gonna put my finger through, over direct the hair to the front, and I'm just gonna clean up some of the layers, like so. Okay? Like that. Let that go and use some of the hair that you've just cut as a guideline for the next section. Use the comb the hair, hold the hair, over direct the hair to the opposite side, and trim where you see is necessary. So a lot of time you can tell dead hair when it looks straggly, it looks, you know, swiggly on the ends, and it looks dry and split ends, you can see it. So just trim what you need. Again, if you want more movement in the layer, then you can hold the hair further out and then point cut deeper. But since I like to keep the fullness in the interior of my haircut, therefore I'm just doing small point cutting so that there's still movement in the haircut, but it's not too thin. When I get here, okay, just be very careful that you don't cut too much because we're losing hair due to our ear area. So therefore, right in this area at the front, try to keep it as full as you can. Cut very minimal, because usually when you see your hair looking not so full, it is because it's around the ear area. Okay, so just a light trim. Honestly, if you can do this to yourself a 1/4 to even 1/8 of an inch every month, your hair will feel so healthy, so soft, because when you're running your hand through your hair and you feel it's tugging and pulling, it means that it's getting dry and you need to trim it. So this is a great way to keep up with your haircut and have your hair feeling nice. And when the hair feels nice, it's styled beautifully. So the other side, take some of the hair that you've cut before as a guideline. Take some of the new, comb the hair like this to the front. Again, when you're point cutting, make sure you're very careful so that you don't cut your fingers, okay? When I first started hairstyling, I cut myself, I would say at least 20 times. before I master this, so just be very careful as you're point cutting not to cut yourself. Then let that down. Repeat the same way. Hold the hair up. Over direct the hair. And cut what is necessary. So continue on. I am going a little quicker with this video is because I don't want it to be like an hour long that you have to watch. So therefore, when you do it on yourself, please take your time doing this, okay? So I'm going to direct this over and then cut what is necessary. When you cut this and your hair was one length and you cut it up to here, right? With the front layer like this, remember that at the beginning? And then let's say you wanted to have a bit of a fringe. So what you could do is, if it's a side fringe, you can part usually where the middle of the eye is, right there. And what I like to do is that I like to go back about 2 inches and make a angle down so the hair looks like this. And then I hold the hair with the comb and I just over direct it and then I trim it. By doing this, you're gonna have a nice angle. So again, once you part it, use the comb, hold it with the fine tooth so it doesn't fall out, and move the comb on an angle like this. So the reason why that is, you're going to have length at the bottom and the shorter one is going to be on an angle. So that's how you have a side sweep. Okay, again, cut less because you can always cut more. And then you can have it as short as you like. You can have it here, here, or here, up to you. So since for me, I like mine a little bit more longer, so I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. So, the hair feels awesome after you give it a nice trim, just because, you know, all the split ends and the dead ends are gone. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you how it looks at the back. So remember when I have you pull the hair to the front, so you have determined the length already. Remember that? So that once you determine the length, whenever you cut the layers, if the bottom, when you section and the bottom falls down, just let it fall. Don't try to grab it because that's the length of the hair. What you're cutting when you're cutting this is more cutting the interior layers of the hair. So you can see how the layers are nicely blended. Okay? And there's a lot of movement in my hair. Now, let's say you want to have some volume at the top. So what I would do is that I would part a horseshoe, okay, or a triangle. So a horseshoe would be just like this, okay? Or you can part on a diamond shape. So let's say you like your bangs and you don't want to touch it and you just want more volume in this area. So I go back about 2 inches. I draw an angle, then another angle downward like this, okay? Roughly. So it looks like corner and then corner. So it's like a diamond shape like this. So you can pick that part up. So this is if you want shorter pieces on the top, just so that it gives you more volume. So you're gonna comb everything to the top like this. Okay. Once you comb it all the way up, try to hold all of that hair with your finger right up and determine where or how short you want to be. I always suggest to hold it on an angle. So let's say this is the front you're going to try to have an angle like this so that you have more shorter piece up here and longer piece at the back. So you see, when I hold it, I kind of angle the tip of my finger down a little bit so it's on an angle. So then I just trim whatever I need to. In your case, if you want it shorter, you can. Again, don't cut too much, please. Go a little at a time. So by doing this, it will definitely give you more lift on the top. So those of you who like to have shorter pieces just so that it gives you a bit more oomph, then you can definitely use this technique. So that is it for this haircut. Again, you can use my guideline for any length of hair. Whether your hair has been cut already or it's one length, you can definitely use this and it would definitely work. So again, my only advice is please cut little and cut more if you need to. Don't go at it scissor happy and cut it all off, because then it'll take a while to grow back. So once again, thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. You all know what my charity cause is, and I can't do it alone without your help. So please subscribe, please spread the word and be a voice for my cause, and I really appreciate all your support. And please give my video a thumbs up so that it encourages me to do more videos for you. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone. Mwah.